Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episodes 4 and 5 of Jujutsu Kaisen. So, yeah, I think we're going to just check out these two episodes here. It's a two-parter, and we'll kind of determine at that point whether or not we want to continue this. I don't know, it's not really impressing me so far. Yeah, obviously, I'm kidding. No. This series has been, with its first 3 episodes, has been pretty amazing, and yeah, we're not actually thinking about dropping it or anything. Not even close. Like, it's been pretty great. Like, even just from the first 3 episodes, I can firmly say that I really love this. The characters are really likable and interesting. The powers that we've seen so far are pretty cool. I like the visual style, like even beyond just the animation, which is phenomenal, which again, I knew going into this. Even beyond that, like just the art style and the distinct look of it. Even just the curses themselves. Like, you go from having some curses look like hollows in Bleach, like the one you see in the opening when the girl's putting on the glasses and it appears in the frames. But then you also have some curses looking like fucking Yu-Gi-Oh monsters. Like the one from last episode that was holding the little kid hostage. Excuse me. It's just a great array, a great diversity of designs there. And I really get a kick out of it. Now, we kind of left off on a bit of a preview for what this episode is going to showcase. Apparently above some juvenile detention facility, which, by the way, those, I assume prisoners did not look like juveniles. I know anime can tend to mess that up sometimes, making characters look a lot older or a lot younger even sometimes than they actually are supposed to be. But it's like, they very much looked like older than me, and I'm 30. They looked like they were maybe in their 40s. they were very notably older looking. I don't know. But either way, at that detention facility, I think it described itself as a cursed womb appeared in the sky. And yeah, it's kind of what you would expect it to look like. It looks like it looks like an unborn fetus. And it's gross. And apparently, in 2017, some 3 first years were sent to take care of it, and 1 died. Now, the clear implication is that we're supposed to believe, because we just got introduced to our 3 first years of Jujutsu Tech in this series, from Itadori to Fushiguro and Nobara, we're supposed to believe one of them is the one who dies. But I think it's pretty obvious that's not going to be the case. I definitely think the key is the date. They specified this happened in 2017. I don't think this series takes place in 2017. It probably takes place in like 2019 or 2020, like more current day. Whenever this series came out, I don't actually remember. I think it was 2020. I might be wrong about that, though. But I think that's the kind of idea that it's going... Actually, it might come out. Did it come out in 2021? It didn't come out last year. Surely not. I don't know. Now I'm questioning everything. Either way. Yeah. I'm definitely excited to see more. And I'm excited to see, like, if my theory is correct and that this was a separate group in the past that had to deal with something like this. Again, I have to assume it is. Either that or one of them dying is going to, like, they're going to maybe technically die but be brought back somehow. I don't know. Um, but I'm very much enjoying this. Again, I like all the characters. So far, Gojo is definitely my favorite, though. Like, I just adore his personality. And here's a little fun fact for you. Actually, I might actually be able to bring a picture up. I didn't even think about that. I should have thought about this beforehand and had it ready, but I just wasn't thinking about it. Let me see if I can bring a picture up. I don't know if I have the picture downloaded. That's the problem. Give me just a second here. It'll be easy to get. I know exactly where to find it, so. But yeah, while I'm getting this up. I like all the characters, though. Fushiguro is not like your typical, like, overly serious type character. He definitely has more depth to him, and he's not a bad guy at all. He stuck up for Itadori and even told Gojo that it is his personal feelings that he wants Itadori to be saved and not to die. Nobara is a lot more interesting. She seems to have a very wild personality. I kind of dig it, though. I think it works. She's completely insane, but kind of in the best, most enjoyable way. And she's just kind of a blast, you know? Okay. And Itadori himself is just a really good, likable character. He's very fun, he's very kind, he has personality, and he's funny, but without being, like, annoying or anything, like some other shonen protagonists. Anyway, bring this up. So this was at Emo Night Brooklyn, this past week, and this is me with my friend Bridget and the DJ Josh, who is also a friend. It's not quite clear, it's not quite easy to see, but you can kind of see a little bit of a pin on his chest, like right in the middle there. It's Gojo. It's a Gojo pin. I didn't know before going to that event that he was a Jujutsu Kaisen fan. But yeah, apparently he is, and he has a Gojo pin. I thought that was just really interesting, really fun. So I just kind of wanted to show that off, just for the funsies. But yeah, obviously I'm very much enjoying this. Obviously there's no real chance of it being dropped at the moment. I'm just excited to see where it goes, and there's multiple characters in the opening we haven't met yet, so I'm excited to meet some of them. Maybe we'll meet some of them in these 2 episodes. I don't know. Either way, we're just going to get into it, hope for the best, and see what this 2-parter has in store for us. It's our first 2-parter of the series, and hopefully it's pretty damn good. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I was wrong. I was very wrong. I was saying with what it said in episode 3 that, like, the entire date and everything was going to be the important part. Oh, this doesn't take place in 2017, right? So that's going to be the important aspect, so no one's actually going to die. None of the 3 first years. I was wrong. It was talking about this incident. It was talking about these specific first years, and it was specifically referring to Itadori, the main character. See, it's like it's obvious, and it's just like it's one of those things where you know he's not going to actually die or stay dead forever because he's the main character, and it's like you literally can't do that. unless like there's some manner in which his death like proceeds on to the next stage of the series or something. But it's like you can't actually, for real, kill him off and just have him not be a character anymore because he's the main character. He has basically the biggest defense against that. Like, you might be able to make it work with killing him off at the very end of the series, but that's about it. So this two-parter was interesting because really most of it was solved, and most of it happened throughout the first episode, episode 4, and then a little bit of episode 5. And then it just kind of like moved on to the aftermath, which is clearly setting up for the next stuff to go down. So it's really interesting in that regard. So yeah, the story is what we expect for these episodes. Our main trio is sent to take care of the curse womb and everything, and they find out that curse wombs can possibly, for lack of a better term, hatch into a special grade curse. It's not always the case, but it can be. Usually this is taken care of by a high-ranking Jujutsu sorcerer, but since Gojo's away at the moment, they were the ones who were given the job. So, and we later find out in episode 5 that this was retribution, that the higher ups literally did this basically because of Gojo fighting for Itadori's safety. And I love that Gojo got pissed about that. I'll talk more about that later, but so they're sent to go take care of it, and they're told by Ijichi, who, by the way, his voice sounded familiar. It's like I was watching this, I'm like thinking like, I know your voice from somewhere, but it's not like super familiar. It's just like I know I've heard you somewhere. And I've heard him in a few things. The most notable of which, for me, is that he's Silva Zoldyck in Hunter x Hunter, Kiloa's father. And in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stardust Crusaders, he's Muhammad Avdol. He's been in some other things I know, like he was Tank Top Tiger in One Punch Man. He was a couple more minor characters in ReZero. He was a character in Mob Psycho 100, and he was in Cells at Work and stuff, but nothing that I'm like really super familiar other than those couple roles I mentioned at first. But it's still interesting. I definitely recognize his voice, and it's definitely for Silva. It's definitely because of Silva Zoldyck that I recognize his voice. Very specifically, because with Avdol, he puts on an accent for clear reasons. So it is interesting, though. But, moving on. So they go in, they're told by Ijichi that they basically don't stand a chance and that they are just on a rescue mission. That their goals in the end are to rescue the people or run. That there is no chance to fight. They go in and find 3 of the victims pretty quickly, after realizing that this place is put up in a domain or something, I think, where it basically seems like the curse is asserting its will to create like a space of sorts, like you know what I mean, like not really a pocket dimension, but something sort of similar to that. It's more like its own, I guess you could call it like a pocket dimension. I don't know. I know what I know what it is. I understand the concept. I just don't know how to word it. But either way, they find 3 of the victims. 2 of them are practically nothing, and the other one is half of a body. Itadori recognizes the name on his suit and realizes that he's the son of this woman who was outside begging to find out what was going on. And, of course, Itadori wants to save the kid. who, by the way, did not look like a kid. He did not look like he belonged in a juvenile detention facility. Like, even if you want to say he was 17, it's like, no, he wasn't. That guy looks like he was like 30, at least. But it's like Itadori wants to bring his body out so that the mother can have like closure. But Fushiguro reveals that he was never going to rescue this specific person because he had found out that he was in there because he, without a license, drove and ended up hitting and killing a young girl. And there's no explanation if he was drunk in the situation or if he was repentant afterwards. None of that's brought up. And that kind of makes me wonder about if he was either of those things. But in the end, Fushiguro just cares that he did it. And you can understand Fushiguro's point and why he would not like someone who did something like that. But at the same time, I also see Itadori's point. It's like both sides have valid validity to them. And Nobara ends up getting injured and having to be taken out fairly quickly when the curses arrive. The first curse arrives and Nobara is taken down. She's brought down to another part of the area, and one of Fushiguro's dogs is violently murdered. So Fushiguro goes to try and rescue her and everything, which he does end up doing. He ends up getting her out while Itadori takes on the curse, planning to use some help from, Sukuna. However, Sukuna's not going to play nice, and once he gets control, he is able to heal Itadori's hand, which was taken off by the curse, and he's able to heal Itadori's fingers, which were sanded off by the curse, on the other hand. And it's like, I'm specifically avoiding the fact that the curse already had done all of that to Itadori when he tried to fight it, because it's like, it was super uncomfy. Like, I've watched many things on the channel that are uncomfortable, many things that have proven to be very hard to watch, and that was definitely up there, because it's like, oh my god, it was just so unsettling. And sorry it got really dark, by the way. It got really overcast outside quite suddenly. Some clouds rolled in. So I can't reach the lamp at the moment. And this lamp over here doesn't actually really work, so not really much I can do, unfortunately. Unless I were to get up and go turn that on real quick, but I'll just lighten this up in editing. But yeah. So he does allow Sukuna to take over, but Sukuna plans to go after Fushiguro instead. And he ends up trying to recruit the other curse to help, and yeah. That doesn't go well. The other curse attacks him. He ends up killing... After torturing the curse a bit, he ends up killing it, using his own domain. And then he does go after Fushiguro, which starts into episode 6. Episode 5 rather, because episode 4 was basically, by the end, everything was concluded. The curse was killed already. So that was kind of concluded. So all that was left was, getting Sukuna under control. But as we find out when episode 5 starts, Itadori's having trouble with that. We don't know why, but presumably because Sukuna's getting more powerful due to more fingers and everything. We found out that also the curse that Sukuna killed had one of the fingers, which Sukuna just went for. And so yeah, 3 fingers deep now, all the more powerful, and Itadori can't escape. So Sukuna decides to take him hostage right in front of Fushiguro, by ripping out Itadori's heart. Just literally tearing it out of his chest. And he's like, oh yeah, if Itadori takes back control now, he'll die. And, will he do that? And Fushiguro's like, oh, he'll do that. So they fight, but it's completely one-sided. Fushiguro has no chance against Sukuna in any way, especially with 3 fingers now. And so he's just like not pretty much doing anything to him. Sukuna's just wiping the floor with him, throwing him all around the town, through all these buildings. And he's just taking it. He eventually is about to use kind of a special technique, but decides instead to talk to Itadori. He talks to him and does get through to him. I don't know if he noticed, like, he looked like he noticed something, and like maybe he noticed that Itadori was starting to finally take back control. But either way, he talked him through it, and Itadori came back out and then just passed out. And from what is very clearly presented to us, died. I say that with air quotes because, again, we know he didn't actually die. And they even kind of say that by the end of episode 5 here. So we see that he's taken to the hospital. Gojo is pissed. Like, I am so happy that Gojo is this angry. Like, he's even, like, talking to himself, thinking, or, well, kind of talking to Ijichi and the mortician as well. He's kind of like saying, like, I could just go there and kill all those bastards. And he's like pissed because they sent the first years basically to their deaths just to get back at Gojo for fighting for Itadori's freedom. It's like, Jesus. Seeing him mad, though, is great. Like, it really makes me like his character even more. It shows his morals and how genuinely good he is. So we see that they've kind of resigned themselves to it. It goes to Fushiguro and Nobara, who are really fucked up by the entire situation. Like, Fushiguro is like really down about it, and Nobara's trying to be tougher, trying to hold it in, but even she breaks a bit and cries, and it's like, Jesus, it's like, this is just sad. Like, this is just actively like a mood killer. And it's like, I'm trying to enjoy myself watching these shows, not be brought into a depression. But then we meet the second years. We get to meet these other characters from the intro, including the panda. So I'm not going to remember all their names yet. We have the girl with the glasses and the green hair, who seems like she seems to have almost maybe a tiny bit of a superiority complex. But she also seems kind of sassy, and she doesn't seem like a bad person. In fact, she seems actually upset with the other second years when she finds out that the way she came across could seem too cold. She doesn't seem like a bad person, or at least she definitely doesn't want to be seen that way. Then we also have there's apparently someone else as well, but they're away. We have Panda, who speaks and is just a panda, and it's like, we don't really get anything else, and it's like, how and why and what? I have so many questions, but he seems like a nice dude. And then we have this other guy who seems more mysterious and seems to talk in food. Like we definitely see him in the intro. It's like, I understand which character he's supposed to be. I'm wondering, based on the way he's speaking and everything, I'm wondering if that's important. If that has any relevance to maybe his curse powers. Um, Considering the opening shows him like revealing his mouth. So I'm wondering if there's any relevance to that. Um, but either way, he seems very quiet and reserved and not super sociable. I guess we'll learn more about them because they reveal to Nobara and Fujigoro that they are going to be training them to join a cross promotional school event. Uh, Jujutsu Tech and their sister school are going to be competing in 2 days of basically Jujutsu fighting tournaments. There's going to be a group tournament and a singles tournament. And they're going to be competing because the third years are indisposed. So, yeah, just kind of brought on them. And Nobara and Fushiguro have managed to accept, but blatantly say, oh, if this ends up being something that we're not into, we're just going to quit right then and there. They both agree to that, and it's like, okay, so the second years are going to train them now. Y'all right. Sure. I want to see more of these second years. It looks like we're going to. I'm definitely interested to see what they can do. Now, then we have the other part of episode 5. While all this is going on, we see this guy walking around with a group of curses, 3 specifically. There's this one guy who seems to be able to talk and think normally like a human, which is something we have not seen for a curse before. All the well, except for Sukuna. Except for Sukuna, all the curses we've seen have been more monstrous. They've had certain levels of the ability to think and act upon that thought, but never to this high of a level. Another one is like this, like kind of creepy, almost Studio Ghibli like creature. Like you could imagine it being in the bathhouse and Spirited Away. And then there's this taller one that seems to have trouble being understood when it speaks. The only one who seems to be truly capable of communicating with this guy, who I assume is a human, based on the fact that others can see him. The only one that seems to be capable is kind of who I assume is the leader of this trio, though it's implied that he also has a leader as well. So they go to a restaurant and they're talking to the guy, and they reveal it's like, oh, well, why are we being targeted by these Jujutsu sorcerers? It's like they act all good, but for every good action they also have bad, and it's like they think they're better than us, but they're really not. It's like, and so he's trying to like get help from this guy to help him kind of like get back at the Jujutsu sorcerers. And it's like, okay, I can help you, we can do this, but we need to do 2 things. First, we have to make it so that Satoru Gojo can't fight. He's the strongest of the Jujutsu sorcerers. We have to make it so he is unable to be in this fight. Otherwise, we're screwed. Second, we need to get Itadori and Sukuna on our side. And even the curses, like, wait, no, he died. And the human dude is like, but did he? Did he really? And then you hear like Sukuna's like at the morgue, you see the body and you hear Sukuna saying like, okay, nobody is allowed to poke inside of me like this. And it's like, oh, yeah, there's our confirmation. We knew it was going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be Sukuna saving him, but either way, we know Itadori and Sukuna are going to survive this. It's like, it's obvious, let's be honest. Because again, you can't kill off the main character unceremoniously like this. It's just not something you do. But it was a very good 2-parter. Like, this was really interesting. The curse itself was fascinating, and honestly, I think the part that was really good was the shocking parts of this. When they first experienced the curses in episode 4, I think that was the best part, because just seeing the shocking power of it, seeing how it just takes off Itadori's hand, how it just mercilessly kills Fushigoro's dog, and then even Nobara being taken in and almost killed, and Itadori getting the fingers on his other hand like sanded off, and Jesus, it's still uncomfortable. It's just like it was so shocking in such a good way that it was like, oh, this is good, and I am very much invested in this. And then even afterwards, when Itadori couldn't take back control from Sukuna, it's like, okay, this is getting really good. And when he supposedly dies, and it's like, you know he's not going to be dead, but you're wondering what's going to save him, how his things are going to be fixed, it's like, yes, I'm into this. It's surprising me, it's switching things up, it's doing really well. So yeah, I am very invested in this series. Very invested. But in the meantime, tell me in the comments below, what do you think of these two episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen? Our first two-parter, Curse Womb Must Die. What do you think about the shocking aspects of episode 4 and just the surprises and progression that episode 5 entails? Were you as impressed with Gojo's anger as I was? Were you as shocked with the Curse Womb's just total fucking up of Itadori as I was? Let me know your thoughts on all of that and more down in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. Next week we will probably be back to just doing one episode at a time for now, but we'll see. Either way, thank you again, and for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.